Hi, Joe. How are you?
Hi, Cecil. I'm doing very well. How are you doing today?
Oh, hanging in there, hanging in there. I am so glad to welcome you and to talk to you about I am the comic book, chapter 6. I want to show you. This is
There
looks
it is.
pretty good.
Gosh, oh wow, that's God,
It's
it's
it's kind of melting off now. This is like,
yeah, but like it's
but looks pretty good still.
yeah, it does. And and I have a question for you later on, but like but
Okay.
you know, but I'll put a pin on that. But like yeah, it's a how's the project going?
Well, it's going really well. I'm going to ask you my questions. First of all,
That's
my
fine.
first question is, who are you and how do we know each other?
Yeah, so my name is Joe Pimienta or Jose Pimienta, or just Joe is fine. I am a comics both writer and illustrator. And we met because serendipity is very kind and generous. We met because fate brought us together to work on an amazing book called Soupy Leaves Home. This was back in, gosh, what year was it? I think it was 2015,
Yeah, I think so.
something like that.
Yeah.
And not to go through the entire story, but like we were paired up to work on this book. And the second I read just the pitch, the elevator pitch for it, I was enamored by it. And then I read the script and I fell deeply in love with it. And then you and I got to meet in person, and it was just even a bigger breath of fresh air of just like how lovely it was to meet you and how cool you were, and just to be like, oh, and we're going to be working together. And we've just been in each other's lives ever since.
It's true. And Joe, it's like I feel the same way. I love collaborating with you. I loved working on Soupy Leaves Home with you. And I loved for my World War I project and all these other little things that that we've gotten to do together. I plan to continue. This is a lifelong artistic
Same.
relationship. So I'm so glad that you're doing I am the comic book with me. My next question for you is what did you think of the project when I first mentioned it?
I thought it was brilliant. And I thought it was really, I mean, both brilliant and really cool. And also just, I'm not, I mean, I can't remember your specific phrasing on why you were beginning this project, but I remember being very engaged with the concept of it's going to be like it's going to be a receive and react, I believe is how you phrased
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And it's going to be like an ongoing thing. And like everything about the project just seemed like really, really cool right off the bat. So like, like when I read the email, it was just checking all the boxes of like, I get to work with Cecil again. It's a really cool project. It's a very unique idea. It's like it just really seemed to hit like all the things that are just like also. And I don't know how this may come across, but like I also really appreciated the the time that it would require from artists. I thought that was just like that was either very considerate, also just like very fitting of just like it's just three panels. It's it's very quick on the go. And even though it did kind of consume quite an amount of time, it was just like, oh, what am I gonna do? And you were thinking about it. But that's great because I was kind of thinking of like what am I gonna bring to the table? So yeah, I thought it was great from the very beginning, and I was very happy to participate. And as always, it's like I'm just like flattered that you consider me to keep working with me.
Oh
So
my God, of course. And yeah, I think one thing that I'm really discovering, and it seems to be across the board, is that and this was kind of my intention with the project, was that it's play. It's like we're playing with each other. And a lot of times, we're doing things and there's like all this sort of thinking about the bigger picture and this and that. And this really, I just wanted to make a piece that was art for art's sake, but where I
yeah,
got to play with my friends and just do something weird. And I think that a lot of people have been having fun because even if it is like kind of quick, everybody has been like, oh yeah, and then I like spent a lot of time thinking about what I was going to do because it's playful and joyful and it's um so yeah, so it's really interesting. I love what you did, sort of traditional three panels. But I repeated yours, which actually I think, because my mom died, but and I just was like not, she died like a week after, or like 5 days after, but like I hadn't really kind of like reached out to you yet to do the interview or done my mile walk. And I was just like, I'm checked out. I'm just going to do this again. And what I think is also serendipitous is that your piece really lent itself to being a repeat piece because, Maxie is going to sleep
Right.
under the stars, waking up, and then hitting the road again. And so it felt
Right.
like it was like a natural repeat, kind of thing. Um, uh, but my question for you is, what did you think of the prompt that you got?
Um, I liked it a lot. Because again, like because I wasn't sure what we were gonna, what I wasn't sure what I was going to get, and that's kind of the exciting part. But like um, I liked it because it really seemed to fit a few things that I'm very drawn to, which is it's a quiet moment,
Hmm.
um, and like in case you're curious, and I guess I
Yeah,
can share
of
this with
course
you
I
really
am.
quickly. So when I got the prompt and I did thumbnails and stuff, but I didn't just do thumbnails. Like I also just went ahead and like
Oh my
I
gosh.
kind of copy pasted, but like I did like three different versions of the first panel.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
Oh
just
my
because like
gosh.
so
Wow.
I did this version first, and I thought like, well, Maxie is like looking up into the sky. I was like, no, it says that Maxie is sleeping. So then I tried this version over here. But I wasn't again entirely super sure with like this things was kind of again, I'm leading to my question eventually. So I kind of tried these different approaches of
Wow.
like, like is the composition fitting in or whatnot, but like the other thing that I really liked is that like I also took inspiration from the other participants and like the panels don't have to be three panels stacked.
Yep.
Like other people were playing around with like what three panels meant.
Yep.
And because if anyone has ever read my books, I am very much of a formalist when it comes. It's just like panels are very straightforward. Like I rarely do overlapping or anything like that. Um, that was my cat. Um, so I really try to figure out, I was like, okay, well, like what is the big moment and what are the tiny moments of it. So the prompt was great for me because it just seemed to fit into like what I like to do, which is just like take a quiet moment and amplify it to almost to a level of serene. So I
So good at that.
yeah, like while I was looking at the other panels, just like I think it was like the previous one. There's like a creature comes. I was like, oh gosh, I hope I don't. Like I don't know. It's like that's. I mean, I'll give it a try, but no. Once I got the prompt, I was like, oh, this is perfect, and I know. I think I really know what I want to try and do. So yeah, so it was
It's a
great.
little hard because every panel has to be silent because you can't really do word balloons like on, do you know? And so
Yeah,
it is kind of difficult. And also, my skin is not paper. So it's like kind of, what's gonna take or what isn't gonna take is like kind of, is very interesting. It's like Nate Powell, he thought he was doing really thick lines, but his lines were so thin that it just kind of, I had to do his twice as well because the first time I did it was just literally a blob, like,
right.
and and so I was like, oh, I need to like put it on in this very specific circumstance and like, other usually I can move around a little bit, but I was like, Nate, I had to like be completely still for an hour and like, and so it is a challenge for me as well, like in terms of like how do you move the story, forward. And then I think people like are starting to get complicated like after you, and so I had to like tone it down. Like I'm like, oh, this is because I'm trying to do too much. I need to, simplify my own thing. What was
Well,
the question that you? Oh, go ahead.
well, yeah, and just kind of a follow up to like to the prompt that I got, and I mean like and I'm very and again just because I cheat and I look at like
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
was
of
looking at the
course.
Excel sheet
But
and
that's,
just
yeah. I
I
gave
was looking. So one of the things that I really appreciated that I thought was really good, it's also just like, it's trying to make sure that you can get to the most you can do with each sentence and with each panel.
right.
Because like for instance, in the prompt that I got is like Maxie goes to sleep and then the next day they wake up and then and then they
Travel on.
continue
Yeah.
the path. So like that's a lot of things that
I
you can only
know.
communicate in three panels and like
That's me. I messed
anyone
up.
yeah, like and for anyone who's and for anyone who has dipped their toes into comics, know that it's like one panel means, usually just means one action. So like so or for the most
I
part.
know.
So like
I'm thinking
so
like 10 pages of I know.
right. So like so it was really fun for me to just be like, okay, well, like if in 3 panels I have to put all this together, it's just like, well, that's why I love that first panel. So I'm working on that first panel so much
Yeah.
because it's like, well, this is the big one of like Maxie, asleep under the sky with like these planets and stars and like
Yeah.
that's where the beauty can be. And the rest of it is just like trying to be efficient of like they're waking up, just make sure that it's clear that it's the next day, and then they have to move onward with their journey. So I can't show them running off, but
Yeah.
they have to display that they're going to keep on walking. So yeah, I mean, like it was yeah, I really appreciated just being like just having the opportunity for that exercise of like I have to maximize
Yeah.
every single thing in each panel. The
It
question
is,
that I have,
wait, no, I'm just going to follow up. It is really hard because, you know, that would be fine for a page if it were on paper to say
right.
they wake up and, move along the road the next morning. But 3 panels on your skin without any inner monologue or dialogue or balloons or, anything or explanation is very difficult.
Yeah,
And
no,
so
absolutely.
I'm learning too, where I'm like, oh man, I got to get simpler and even simpler.
Yeah, but that's the fun of the process. Like
Yeah.
that's the beauty of making the comics. It's just like you're trying to figure out just like how to like how to put all these elements into
Yeah.
the best version of that. The question that I had for you, and it's just because like it was that so and I believe that you kind of raised it to me as a concern at first of just like how much black I was using.
Mm.
So I guess I wanted to ask, like, one, was it that much of a worry and was it that much of an issue? And number two, how did it compare to, I'm gonna just like, I hope it's okay that I reference, I hope it's okay that I reference this, but it's the same story. Um, the previous chapter, which is when Maxie is cooking
Yeah.
dinner and like, and in the pit fire, and that illustration was just like, was such a guiding and light and inspiration. Like, I love
Yeah.
that panel
Hope
so
Larson.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so yeah. So yeah, so I was just kind of wondering like what I did is also obviously like really dark in
Yeah.
terms of color and use. Like, was that a concern? Was that brought up or it's
It's interesting because I got worried about Hope's. I got worried about yours, you know, but then it kind of works. You know what I mean? Like I was surprised at like, how much of the planet you see, how much of the stars you see. Like it really, I mean, look, this is
yeah, no, it's
this is peeling off, but it's still so clear. I don't know. I mean, I think I'm constantly worried because the thing that I realize is that my skin is not paper, and so
right.
you know what I mean? Like, and it really has to do with like, did I drink enough water? Is my skin moisturized enough? Like,
Yeah.
it's like all these other, did I sweat while I was, you know? So it's like, it's a very, the thing that I worry about the most is whether or not, because I'm using Inkbox and because it's custom tattoos, they have rejected a few, you know?
Interesting.
So that's why, like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm a little concerned about this because I've had previous, tattoos where I've uploaded it and then they've been like, this isn't going to work. So then I've had to ask the artist to like, so I'm trying to like sort of, um, see what that is to like, so that's why I said like, oh, I'm a little concerned about this, but then they
Yeah,
just
yeah.
rejected and then it worked out great. So, you know,
Yeah, no, and so a follow-up to that, is that also something that you have considered putting it in the not in the prompt, but just like um giving future artists that kind of note of just like, by the way, these are the parameters of how thick or how thin the lines can be, kind of
I
thing. Like,
mean,
is that
I
something that you
did,
consider?
I did put in like your thing, like I do say, like, this is the exact things that they say, like a strong hand or whatever. I
Gotcha.
mean, like the one of the artists that's coming up, Teak Beach, she did one, and there was a lot of little swirls and details and little lines like everywhere. And I was like, I sent it back to her and I was like, this is beautiful, but it's too busy. Just like you can't have like
Right.
50 million dots in there and 50 million little lines and like, just streamline it. And she did it again,
Yeah.
and it's the same image, but just, instead of five little squiggly lines, there's like one swoosh, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but we'll see, you know.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, because again, like that is also just something that like that I thought was very important to take into consideration, and just like and I figured it was a really good measure because like kind of similar with me of just like you've seen my comics,
Yeah.
and like sometimes I do like to go overboard with like the detail and the
Yeah.
finesse and just like it, and and it was just very important to take into consideration. It's like, well, you can't do that in this one. You have
Yeah.
to be very selective. Like I was worried of just like how much detail can I put on each planet? Can I make
Right.
that comment even, even more finer? It's like, well, the answer is no, because it
Right.
has to be able to reproduce. Anyways,
No, but I mean, it's like I said, like Nate Powell was like, he was like, oh, I drew it so thick. And then it was like thin, or like,
yeah,
and then I said that to Dan Santat, who's going to do one like down the line. And
so
he was
can't
like,
wait to see
oh,
it.
shit, like Nate Powell's was too thin. I'm really going to be fucked, like so. Okay, my free Zoom
Yeah,
time
yeah,
is
I
ending.
got, I got it, I
So,
got it.
so my last question for you is, what are you working on now, and where can people find you on the internets?
Yeah, so currently I'm not allowed to say what I'm working on,
Great. I love it.
because of two things. One of them has not, some of those things have not been announced, and the other things I'm on pitch mode. So I'll tell you the elevator pitch that I brag about so much is that for the past 3 years, I ended up working on 4 books, which was a living dream, and it was so cool, and I hope I get to do it again. So I just, but in actually, as a matter of like last month, actually, about a last month and a half, I received like the final, notes and approval on some of those books. So I just had a book come out last September. I have a book coming out in February 18th called Halfway to Somewhere. I'm very excited about it. And then there's 2 more books that someone else wrote but that I illustrated, coming out, I believe, in September-ish of 2025, but I
Great.
can't remember the exact date. But yeah, in the meantime, I am working on some home improvement projects, and community organizing. Those are the things that are not comics related. But comics related, I am working on a couple of pitches, and developing hopefully a next graphic novel that I'm writing and illustrating. So
Amazing. And the book that's coming out in February, what's it called again?
halfway to somewhere.
And who's putting it out?
It is Random House Graphic.
Great.
So yeah, so it's the great team again. My fantastic editor Whitney Leopard, and with my with the wonderful assistance of my literary agent Elizabeth Bennett. So it's great. I'm very excited.
And where can we find you on the internet?
So currently, the only social medias that I have is I've gone over to Blue Sky, so I'm at JOPI on Blue Sky, and I'm still on Instagram with at the Joe Pie. That's at TheJoePi, and
And you're
yeah.
tagged on the on Instagram, on my
Yeah,
Instagram.
yeah, 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 and we're tagged there. And like, and yeah, other than that, I mean, like, I have a website called, by my name, josepimienta.com. Yeah, like and on that website, I post some updates and stuff. Like, I should be better at being, more on like more outgoing and stuff, but like I do what I can, and on my Instagram, I like to post about the books that I'm reading or the books that I like or things that are happening around. So yeah, that's where I am on the internet.
Well, Joe, thank you
Yes.
times 1 million for being a part of my project, for being an amazing collaborator, for being an amazing friend. I love you, and thank you so much for being chapter 6 of I Am the Comic Book.
to everything you just said, ditto and vice versa. Just like to put it out there, it's like I love collaborating with you, and you're wonderful to collaborate with. Like you're just like it's like a dream scenario. It's just like how
I
responsive,
know.
and just how responsive you are, and just like so everything. So yeah. So if anything, thanks
Can't
so
wait
much
to do
for
it
everything.
again.
Can't wait to do it again, literally. So,
Okay, I'm
uh,
gonna stop now. Boop.
yeah.